Imagine waking up and everything seems normal, just a regular day. And then you check your phone and nothing loads. You check your laptop, nothing. TV, radio, nothing but static. No internet, no access to your bank account, no texting, no phone calls. Your neighbors, they're in the same situation. Everyone is. Stores can't process payments. Gas stations are cash only. ATMs are offline. There's rumor that the public water supply isn't safe to drink, but you have no way to confirm. Every house, for as far as the eye can see, just lost power. People are panicking. Entire systems have collapsed in the blink of an eye. And the hardest part of all, you have no idea if this is for an hour or for weeks. What would you do? Are you prepared? Most people think cyber attacks are just about stolen passwords or the wrong person getting hold of your social security number. But the threat is far greater, and the real danger is when these attacks hit the systems behind everyday life. The systems we all rely on, the systems we're dependent upon. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what to look out for and how to prepare in a way that's actually practical. And be sure to stick with me because there's one small dependency almost everyone has that can quietly fail and take everything with it. Hey, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. If you are new here, welcome. I focus on practical preparedness, the kind that actually helps in real situations, not just theory. And I know this topic can feel a little abstract. Cyber attacks, infrastructure, systems. It sounds distant, even unrealistic. Maybe it even sounds like something that wouldn't impact your life. But it can, or maybe it already has. So let's break this down simply. First, we need to reframe what a cyber attack really looks like today. Most people picture someone hacking into accounts, and yes, that happens, but the bigger concern is disruption. What we can never predict is how widespread this disruption could be. In reality, we need to be prepared for both ends of the spectrum, from a personal attack, something like identity theft, all the way to a national or even global emergency and everything in between. There's another angle to this that most people don't think about, and it explains why this matters more now than it did even just a few years ago. For a long time, large-scale conflict between nations showed up in ways you could see. Things like movement, equipment, visible disruption. We are, of course, still seeing a lot of that around the world today, but think about everything that we are not seeing. There's a whole new layer. Attacks have shifted into the digital space, and they're ramping up. If someone can disrupt a nation or a region's power, their water systems, their fuel distribution, their communications, they don't have to physically show up to create real problems. It can all be done remotely and discreetly, and we've already seen examples of this. Power grids being targeted, water facilities having unauthorized access attempts, transportation and fuel systems getting shut down by ransomware. A lot of these incidents don't get much attention, but they are happening, and it's not by mere coincidence. But it makes sense. We've become a society so reliant upon technology that we've made it into our own greatest weakness. These systems feel invincible, but they're far from it. They run on physical infrastructure, data centers, networks, electricity. And when those fail, everything tied to them fails with it. What feels invincible and constant on our end is actually very dependent on physical systems working exactly the way they're supposed to. And when they don't, even briefly, it can ripple out quickly. So it's not just about protecting your data, it's about understanding that the systems you rely on every day aren't as intangible as they seem, and they're not immune to disruption. Which is why having simple offline backups and alternatives isn't extreme, it's just recognizing how things actually work. The truth is, in this day and age, we are all connected, and from a preparedness standpoint, that matters. Because it means disruptions can happen far away, but still affect you locally. You might never see what caused it. You just experience the results. You may not see the cause, but you sure do feel the impact. And that's why this isn't just about hiding your PIN number or creating stronger passwords. It's about understanding that the systems you rely on every day are now part of a much bigger playing field. And when something happens, even briefly, it's the everyday person who feels it first. which is exactly why having simple backups in place puts you in a completely different position than most people. Power grids rely on digital control systems. Water treatment plants do too. Fuel distribution, communications, logistics, all of it is connected, which means it doesn't take something massive. It just takes the right system going down at the wrong time. And we've already seen pieces of this. Pipelines shut down, hospitals locked out of systems, cities dealing with water facility breaches. It's not hypothetical, real events. And when those systems fail, even briefly, it shows up in your life immediately. This isn't a long-term collapse scenario. It's something more subtle and honestly, more likely. Power is out for a day or two. The water is under a boil advisory or shut off temporarily. Gas stations can't pump fuel. Stores can't process payments. And there's this moment where people realize how dependent they truly are. You don't need weeks for things to feel off. Sometimes it's just hours. And I know a lot of people hear this and think, okay, but I'm not building some huge prep setup. You don't need to. In fact, in a few minutes, I'll show you how to cover most of these risks with things you probably already have or can get pretty easily. But first, let's focus on where people actually get caught off guard. If you strip all of this down, there's a few pressure points that matter most: electricity, fuel, water, finances, security, and the thing that almost no one talks about: timing. Because it's not just what happens, it's when it happens. Disruptions don't happen when it's convenient, and they don't wait around for you to be ready. This isn't theoretical. Utilities are already a major target, and generally speaking, they're pretty fragile. Cyber attacks on energy and water systems have surged in recent years, with over 1,000 attacks reported in a single year in the US alone. And in many cases, these aren't random. Energy, water, and infrastructure are some of the most targeted sectors. While a widespread takeover of the power grid hasn't happened yet in the United States, hackers have proved that it was possible in 2015 when power was remotely disabled in the Ukraine, leaving 230,000 in the dark.
Russia has been launching cyber attacks against the Ukrainian government's private industry, even critical infrastructure that truly have no precedent in history. These are some of the most disruptive cyber attacks we've ever seen.
Similar attacks happened again in 2016, 2022, and 2023. In 2021, a major fuel pipeline in the US was hit by a cyber attack. The Colonial Pipeline, supplying about 45% of the fuel for the East Coast, running from Texas to New Jersey, was hit by a ransomware cyber attack. And the way it happened was surprisingly simple. Hackers got access through a compromised password. No physical damage, no explosion, nothing like that. But once they were inside, the company made a decision. They shut the pipeline down, not because it was broken, but because they couldn't trust their systems. When people think about losing power, they think about flashlights and candles. When they think about not having fuel, they picture storing an extra 5-gallon gas can. And yes, these things help, but think about what stops working. Your fridge, your well pump if you have one, your ability to charge your devices, your security cameras, your heating and your cooling, your ability to cook food, your ability to drive long distances. And here's something most people don't think about. Cell towers have backup power, but only for a limited time. So if an outage drags on, even if you have a way to charge your phone, you still may have no contact with the outside world. So simple things matter here: battery banks, charging cables that aren't worn out, a way to power small essentials, topping off your car's gas tank regularly, keeping extra fuel on hand, but above all else, think about being self-sufficient within your home. Being able to handle emergencies if there's no way to contact anyone for help, being able to secure your home and protect your family. Having ways to cook, stay warm, stay cool, etc., all of those things without electricity or fuel. Think of all the devices and appliances that you use, and now imagine a backup option for each of those. Next up, water. Water is one of those things that people assume will always be there, but town and city water systems are heavily automated and not always properly secured. In 2021, a hacker gained access to a Florida water treatment plant's control system, and they remotely tried to increase the amount of lye in the water, which in high amounts, it is extremely dangerous to humans. Luckily, a plant operator caught it happening and they stopped it. But what if they hadn't? In October of 2024, American Water Works, which provides water services to over 14 million people across 14 states and 18 military bases detected unauthorized access within its computer network and had to take action to stop it. Reports show that hackers have accessed networks of hundreds of US water systems. In some cases, the access is gained long before anything actually happens. So they could have access right now, just waiting for an opportunity or a signal. Remember, even if water is still coming out of the tap, that doesn't mean it's safe. So having water stored, even a few days worth, is one of the simplest things you can do. And if you can, have a basic way to treat and filter water right in your home. Nothing fancy, just something. The next thing to think about is money. We've gotten used to tapping a card or using our phone to pay for our everyday goods, but those systems depend on networks. And if those networks go down, transactions don't happen. And this is where stress shows up fast. People in line, cards declining, no backup plan. In 2024, there was a major disruption where multiple major banks went offline. Systems went down across multiple institutions, customers couldn't access services, and trading was disrupted as well. In November 2023, one of the world's largest banks, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, or ICBC, was hit by a ransomware attack. Trades couldn't settle properly, communication systems went down, and institutions had to reroute transactions manually. There are many stories like this, not to mention countless data breaches, identity theft, and fraud. Having some cash on hand isn't extreme. It's just giving yourself options. And here's something else people don't think about. Small bills matter because if systems are down, getting change becomes a problem. So even how you store cash matters more than people realize. In a minute, I'm going to show you one simple shift that removes a huge amount of risk from all of this. And it's not something you have to buy. But before that, this is the one thing that catches people off guard. Access, not just to your accounts, but to your whole life. Most people have everything tied to their phone, passwords, banking, two-factor authentication, saved logins, and it works until it doesn't. If you have no internet or your phone is dead, damaged, or locked, you're not just inconvenienced, you're completely cut off. You've lost access to passwords, account numbers, navigation, search engines. Some of it might sound kind of trivial, but for the majority of people today, they're not memorizing how to perform certain tasks, and they're not keeping books or printed material that could instruct them. I think about it all the time. Like, what would I do if I lost access to all the recipes I've created and all the recipes that I've discovered and curated over the years? Laugh if you want, but I print them all out, every one of them, because I'd be devastated. It might sound small, but it shows how dependent we are on access. So having backup access to documents, numbers, important information, things like maps, recipes, even in a simple form, is huge. Another quiet dependency is information. We rely on real-time information. We're accustomed to getting instant answers. But during disruptions, that's not always possible. If you don't have communications and you don't have access to social media or news outlets, two things happen at the same time. You have less information, and the information that is out there becomes less reliable. Rumors spread, half answers get repeated, people start guessing, and that uncertainty is what drives bad decisions. People overreact or they freeze. So the goal isn't to have perfect information, it's to not be completely in the dark. And again, to be as self-sufficient as possible. Keeping things like radios, having plans with your family members, such as a meeting place, and knowing what services are available in your area are crucial. This is a hard one to prepare for, but again, the only person you know you can rely on is yourself. So always keep that in mind. All right, here's that shift. Reduce single points of failure. Backups for your backups, that's what I always say. That's it. Most people don't realize how much of their life is tied to one thing, one phone, one card, one account, one way of doing things. And it works right up until that one thing stops working. And when it does, everything connected to it goes with it. So instead of thinking, I need more stuff, think in terms of options. What's my plan A? What's my plan B? And if both of those fail, what is plan C? Because that's where resilience actually comes from. Not perfection, not having everything figured out, just having another way forward when the first one doesn't work. And here's the key. You don't need 10 layers. You just need separation, because when everything is centralized, it's efficient, but it's fragile. That's why cyber attacks are so effective and why they're hard to defend against. Let's face it, as an American and speaking to an audience that's mostly, although not completely American, there are a lot of people out there that don't like us. They want to see us suffer. They want to bring us down and see us struggle, now more than ever. Our government, our military, and the big corporations defend against cyber attacks every single day, thousands of them. But it only takes one to sneak past the defenses and cause major problems. At the end of the day, this isn't about fear. It's about understanding how things actually work. Systems fail, sometimes briefly, sometimes unexpectedly. And the people who handle it best aren't the ones with the most gear. They're the ones who removed the obvious weak points. They're the ones who thought ahead. They're the ones who looked at the world realistically and didn't stick their head in the sand. If you are thinking about this, you're already ahead of most people. If this made you think a little bit differently, I'd be curious, what is one weak point that you realized you have right now? Drop it down in the comments. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me an eye emoji down in the comments. And if you want more practical, no-nonsense ways to build real preparedness step by step, make sure you're subscribed to Wicked Prepared and check out this video next. I'm Jera with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.